When I was kids, we had war in Beirut, so it wasn't that easy to have jazz records and like that. But by a chance, we had just one radio station. It was in the 80s. It was called Blue FM, and they started to put some just jazz and old rock and roll, 60s rock and roll and the blues. That's it. And for me, it was through the blues in the beginning, just guitar blues, not just not the old traditional, and to start to listen to this blues scales, and then through a bit through stangettes and bossa nova thing that also brought me to jazz, to bossa nova jazz, which is very melodic and very beautiful, which I like so much. And that was the first thing that I started to hear. Then I started to dig a few things I discovered later. We didn't have in Beirut like tapes. It wasn't easy to find some tape records of jazz recordings. So it was mainly copying jazz records on tapes from other friends. One of the best albums that I had in the beginning, it was Ella Fitzgerald with Louis Armstrong when they were singing together. And I was really shocked at that moment when I heard them, both of them together singing. Then I discovered that there was a Lebanese music that was similar a bit to jazz, and it was performed in the 80s and recorded in the 80s. It was through a composer called Ziad Rahbani. I don't know if you heard about him. He's the son of one of those divas, Lebanese divas called Fayrouz. And through those, I started to listen to the Arabic music. Through jazz, I went back to the Arabic music. Before that, I didn't like the Arabic music. I started to listen to Ella Fitzgerald and the bossa novas like Astro Gilberto and Stangettes on saxophone. That was the beginning. But that was in the 80s. I was like 15 years, 16 years old at that moment. When I discovered Miles Davis, but with Gil Evans, and that sounds those sketches of Spain. And through Miles Davis, I discovered Coltrane later. But on the other side, there's the other school of Charlie Parker. We had few bands in Beirut, and they started to try to play some bebop. And they had some few tunes of Charlie Parker. They played always, for example, Yardbird Suite and Confirmation. And I was like in my 20s, and so I started to hear that option also. And I knew it was very hard, and I was a really beginner saxophone player at the moment because I was a pianist and classical pianist, and I want to play these jazz things, but it was so difficult to play bebop, and it's like playing something. It's very difficult. It was very difficult for me. Now what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do now, it's also trying to combine those jazz flavors, if you want, and try to take the few of those harmonies and try to add them to some Arabic modes and Arabic music, and try to make my own composition, combining between them. But I cannot call it really Oriental jazz. I will never call it Oriental jazz. Jazz for me, it could be in both ways. It could be really well arranged, very arranged, and with like Gil Evans, which I adore, really, I adore so much. Or when I listen to Bill Evans, he's following all the harmonies and everything, and he's a classical musician. Even when I listen, for example, bebop from Bud Powell, I really adore bebop as a pianist. Also, he's wonderful, and I can understand what he's doing. But also when I go to Thelonious Monk, and when he started to break all those rules also, Also, it's different. It's different. It's totally different. And both of them, they are called jazz. And that's really, that's the great things about those both schools are jazz. For example, in classical, okay, when we talk in class about classical music, it's a big word that when we describe it about like classical or baroque or romantic or modern, they have categories. And in jazz, we have categories also. But as word jazz, it's so big, so huge to define. I was trying to search for the definition of jazz. It's very, very hard to find a really specific definition of jazz.